do you start with that? Right. This podcast is coming with a health warning. It's 11:20 on Thursday night. I've just watched Heart of Midlothian Football Club exit the Johnson's Paint Trophy of European football, having drawn at home to a petrol station for Moldova. If you don't want, if you're looking for a balanced, level-headed, fair assessment of the game, of the club, its owners, its fan base, or the players, thanks for listening to the opening 34 seconds or whatever it's been. This is not the podcast for you. If you go any further in and listening to this, then it's on you. I did warn you. It's not, it's going to be tears and snotters. It's not going to be balanced. It's not scripted. I've not thought about it. You are getting my absolute rage from the game. And everybody is in the line of fire. Everybody. So, turn off now. Thank you. Come back later in the week for a podcast where we've hopefully beaten St Johnstone at home, but I can't see it. But again, anyway, we'll talk about that. But yeah, don't go any further in the podcast if you don't want to hear tears and snotters, absolute howling at the moon, because this isn't the podcast for you. Well, I am shocked. I'm shocked that I'm shocked because this is the MO for this football club now. This is the MO for this football club under this regime. In the last 10 years, this is what we do. This is what we do. We have highs, or we call them highs. We have the biggest budget outside of all of the clubs, outside of Celtic and Rangers. In the last 10 years, we have had near £20 million in donations from benefactors, nearly £20 million in money from the fans. You're looking at £20 million plus for season ticket sales, £20 million plus for match day revenue, where basically the fans have put their money in their pocket and gave it to the club. It's around about 70 odd million pounds and rising as we talk now. That the fans, us, the guys that travel, and girls, girls that travel Europe and Scotland, living and breathing Heart of Midlothian Football Club, saving up money to go to games, skipping days out. The day was my work night out with my team at work. A team that I adore. My work, I'm their leader. They give me absolutely everything. They're unbelievable. And I patched them to go watch Hearts. And I tried to tell them it was justified. It was a big game, Europe, first time, blah, 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 blah. But I patched them to go watch Hearts. I've been to the Philippines for the past 16, 17 days. And if I could, I would have came off the plane on Sunday and went straight to Kilmarnock. I hadn't seen my wife or kids for those days. But the love for the football club that we have, I would have went. I would have went. I fell out with my wife because she called me selfish for going the night, and she's gave me a hard time because I said I was planning on going to game on Sunday. Even though, again, I'm selfish. I've been away for 17 days. She's done all of the Christmas shopping. We're in the middle of renovating our house, so we have builders here every day. We're completely and utterly uprooted from our own home. She's had to deal with the two kids. I've got a young family, I've got an 8-year-old and a 4-year-old. She's had to deal with taking them to school, picking them up for school, running them to dancing, gymnastics, swimming, everything. And she's right, I'm selfish. But my love for Heart of Midlothian Football Club drives me. And it drives everybody else. And it's come to nights like tonight where I'm shocked that I am shocked. Because this is what happens. We've become so used to it. Tonight, we could have been anywhere between £1 and £2 million extra revenue into the club, and we've frittered that away. We've went from being on the brink where we were begging people to give us money, kids smashing up their piggy banks, cash cows, robbing poppy tins, whatever it may be, to survive, to now we are happy to just watch £1.8 million fritter and run out the door, and we just shrug our shoulders, move on to the next one. It is disgusting, the club and its relationship with money. Staff costs skyrocketing, and we've got no idea where the money's been spent, where the money's going, and what do we have to show for it in a footballing perspective. Last week, the Wallace Mercer clip was doing the rounds where he says, you can have all the fancy new stands and woolly hats that you want in the world, but product on the park is the number one priority. Well, where's that? Where's that? Neil Critchley won't be sacked for tonight. Nobody on the board will be removed tomorrow for costing us. We own the club. People forget that. We are the owners of the football club. We own 71% of Heart of Midlothian Football Club. We give the club directly each month £100,000 to £200,000, whatever it is, out of our own pocket. And in return for that, we are told, thank you, shut up, give us your money, we'll make the decisions because we are fan owned, not fan run. You idiots are dafties. Just give us our money, we'll decide. Well, it was us idiots that said Tegleveen needs to go because it's got too far. It's went too long and too far, and the club hung on and hung on and hung on and hung on, and eventually got rid of him. Didn't sack him, didn't remove him from the club, moved him up the stairs and brought in somebody and made him work with the ghost of Christmas past, walking the corridors with the coaches that are loyal to the man that has just been sacked. And it cost us. We finished bottom of the league when the season was called and we were demoted. And for the second time in 10 years, we played in the Championship. Something that should be an absolute embarrassment to a club our size. Aberdeen, never been relegated in their history. Celtic, never been relegated in their history. The big clubs, that's what happens. That's what big clubs do. They have swagger. They have points, lines in the sand where they say, nope, this is not acceptable anymore. This isn't happening. Our line in the sand gets further and further and further away. We lower the bar, lower the bar, lower the bar, lower the bar, to the point now where there were fans tonight clapping, standing clapping the players off of the park. Players who were unable to beat a part-time Moldovan garage. They're a petrol station. They play in a park that's covered in dug shit and boulders, and they look like the better team. They scored better goals. The first goal, the ball in, the ball across the box is unbelievable. Composure. They're slick passing. And we made them look better than they were. They missed a sitter at the end of the first half to make it 2-0. It was embarrassing. I'm watching fans clap those players off the park. Those players that delivered what the one of the worst results in our history, if we're being honest. We had a bye. Because of the work we did at the start, we essentially had a bye. It was impossible. 75%, I think, was the percentage it was put on it. Likelihood that we would qualify. Well, we went out. We went out of this competition. A competition made to be easy. Basically, it's been made to be easier. And we've went out. We have won one away game, a closed door match where we needed a 96-minute winner. We've beaten Nicosia at home, drew Petroclub at home, and lost the rest of the games. Been beat off the Queen of the South of Belgium. I think Heidenheim are like bottom of the, or near enough bottom of the Bundesliga. So, we built them up in my head. I thought they were a brilliant team. The opening couple of games of the Bundesliga, they were like top four. They looked like a tasty opposition. But again, we've missed the boat there. Yeah, I've made my feelings clear about Copenhagen. I won't judge the club on losing to Copenhagen because they were a Champions League side playing in the Johnson Spaint Trophy. But it was embarrassing. And nobody seems bothered. No one seems bothered. There won't be a protest on Sunday. There won't be any. The day I sit in the Gorgie, silence. Crickets, no one interested. Walking to the game, like I say, I patched my Christmas night. I parked at Lucky's, at the back of Lucky's, and walked to the ground. No one singing, no atmosphere, no buzz, no like, oh, this is exciting. We're on the verge of qualifying for the knockout stages, a European competition, something we haven't done in 3 decades. Something that should be huge, a massive, massive thing to the club. We stood in an opportunity to be in there with big European clubs playing in the knockout stages of European competitions. You know, you could be plucky, you get a home, get a decent draw. Your home leg is the second leg. You never know. Things can happen in football. But no, no atmosphere, no buzzing, no nothing. In the ground, nothing. No one saying anything, no singing. But the bad ultras sing when we're 2-2, know that we're going out, and Budge get to fuck. And you've got people arguing, shouting, she's the saviour, she's the saviour. Someone shouted that from above us. She saved the club, she's the saviour. And get a small ripple of round of applause. You can criticise Anne Budge. You're allowed to. Actually, see if we'd been doing it more, if we'd put her under more pressure, who knows where we would be? Because this acceptance, this apathy that's around the club, it is pathetic. It's utterly pathetic. How low do we go? How low did we go? People weren't interested or but upset that we lost to Brora. Oh, it was COVID, it was this, it was that, it was blah, blah, blah. You look through the worst results or the worst things in our history, worst ever start to a football season. Well, I know what regime that happened under. Cool. Worst ever results in Europe. Yep, I know what regime that happened under. Our flirting with relegation, with sitting bottom of the league. I've watched, I was born in 1985, so I never lived through the late 60s, the early 70s when we were a mess and we yo-yoed up and down all the time. We yo-yo now. We yo-yo now. We are bottom of the league. It's the 19th of December. We've got what, 12 days left till the new year? In our centenary year, we are staring down the barrel of ending our 150th year bottom of the Scottish Premier League. Bottom of a league that contains Ross County. I've had more people in my gaff than Ross County have. The money that we've got, like I just said, £7 million in the last 10 years, roughly on average, the club has had from us, from fans, from donations, from benefactors. And what do we have to show for it? No trophies, 2 seasons in Europe, and what, 3 seasons in and around bottom of the league. Floating, we've had 3 or 4 seasons floating around mediocrity, sixth, fifth for a few seasons. It's okay to be ambitious. I think we had the life beaten out of us with Robinson, trying to sell the stadium, the financial ruin, stay at Tynecastle, save our hearts, all of that stuff. Then we're taken to death's door by Romanoff and then Anne Budge. No one has ever said anything different, that she saved the club. She is the saviour of the football club, and she will be thanked for that forever, for always. But that doesn't mean we can't criticise where we're at right now. It also doesn't mean that we can't be ambitious. I think that's we are seen that we were ambitious under Robinson, spent above our means. We were ambitious with Romanoff and spent above our means. So now suddenly it means, oh, we can't be ambitious because we're just happy that we've got a football club. We're just happy to be got to Tynecastle every week. Well, that's not acceptable. Yeah, if you want to be a big team, you have to act like a big team. You have to have swagger. That's what it is. You have to act like a big team. You have to puff your chest out and say, no, this is Heart of Midlothian Football Club. This isn't acceptable. We're not failing to beat part-time Moldovans. We can't do that. It's not acceptable. It wasn't acceptable to lose to part-time fishermen from Malta. It's not acceptable tonight to see people standing, clapping the team off, to see people arguing that there isn't a genuine argument to say enough is enough. Enough is enough. What are we doing? What are we doing? Why are we so happy to let money just be wasted away on players, wasted away on managers, wasted away on transfers, wasted away on the hotel, the main stand, overspent, all of them. We're allowed to ask questions. You're allowed to say this isn't good enough. If you owned a restaurant, you were the restaurant owner, and you hired a chef and says, right, you're in charge of everything. You're commander in chief. You buy the produce. You employ the staff. You dictate what you want the restaurant to be, how you want it to look, what you want your reputation to be. And if year after year the food was crap, or after every 18 months you had a flirt with being up there as being one of the best, and now you're at the bottom being one of the worst. And then you go back up to being one of the best, and then you're back to the bottom being one of the worst. And you sack the sous chefs, the pastry chefs, the kitchen staff, the kitchen porters. You sack the waitresses, the hostesses, the guy that greets you at the door, the valet parking guy. You sack them all. You bring new people in. And year after year after year after year, you continually go through the same up and down, good and bad, good and bad. Never level. You never level out. You never find consistency. You never find a level where you're happy and comfortable. It's always flirt with where you want to be, flirt with being ambitious, flirt with winning stuff, flirt with being where you need to be, and then boom, rock bottom, straight down to the bottom again, where everybody's got to be sacked, everybody's got to be replaced. If you were the owner of that restaurant, after 10 years of the same cycle, you would say, wait a minute, there has been one common denominator through all of this, through every single bit of it. That's not to say that Ambudge hasn't done well. Of course she has. The business side has never been better. But now, we're, no one questions that we need James Anderson's money to balance the books. Nobody. Everybody is just so accepting of saying, oh, cool, class. Well, we spend what we know because James Anderson's told us he's going to give us some money. Our relationship with money is ridiculous. We are happy to waste £4 million. If James Anderson gives us £4 million, we'll just go, it's fine, chuck it into the void. It's all right. We knew it was coming, so just throw it into the void. The night we could have made an extra 1 million, 2 million just on TV rights and money. That's no match day tickets or anything. Money that would just go, fine. We never went through, fuck it. Chuck it into the void. Our relationship with money has become toxic and we have got nothing to show for it. Nothing on the park to show for it whatsoever. We've got 11 players that are empty vessels of players, a shadow of the players they should be. They're unfit, uninterested. They've got no commitment. And yet we have to back them week in week. Yet what do we get in return? What do we get? We get that performance from Alan Forrest, who should have been subbed after 10 minutes. We get Shankland that can't score goals. We got a striker that can't score goals. We got a goalkeeper that can't keep clean sheets. We get defenders that can't defend. It's not acceptable. It's not acceptable. My background, I worked in retail, right? That was my thing. That's what we did. And my job, I used to travel store to store, looking at the store and how it performed and how the team performed, how the manager performed, all that stuff. And the number one thing all the time was standards. Didn't matter about the performance so much. It mattered about standards. Did you look like us? Was the shop nice, presentable? Were the staff presentable, acting in the way that we wanted them to? You can't force people to come into your shop. So if you're not busy, if you're in a centre or a shopping centre or a high street where the footfall's down, you can't force people to come in. So you can never say, I want you to make X amount of money, blah, 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 because if you only get X amount of people in, there's only so much you can do. But the non-negotiables were that if the performance isn't where you need to be, you need to act like us, sound like us. You need to maintain the standards of our reputation. You need to puff your chest out. It needs to mean something to you to represent this brand, this shop. Performance will come if all that's there. That's what we're like right now. We're allowed to be arrogant. You're allowed to say we need better than this. Everybody right now will be sitting tomorrow or on kickback. There's probably threads on kickback now of people saying, "Oh, the fans that chanted nasty stuff, get them out of our club. And Budge is the saviour. We'll be fine. Hearts will be fine." There's people already writing off this season, saying, "Oh, forget about it. Like if we finish 10th, it's fine. Get a good run in the Scottish, we might be okay." We are Heart of Midlothian Football Club. We shouldn't even be any lower than fourth. It should be a disaster if we're fourth. We should be kicking the doors down to say this isn't acceptable. But we just lower the bar, lower the bar, lower the bar because we've gave up. We've gave up. The apathy towards the club, it's ridiculous because there is the group of Etsy dads that have converted their shed into Hearts pubs, that have got Gorgie Road signs and Hearts fire pits in the back garden, that shout, "Oh, it should have been 10," and post on kickback, laughing, talking about we almost went bust and all that stuff. They've just become so ingrained in, well, we almost went bust. So anything is better than no having Hearts. I'm just happy to have a club to support. They're not interested in us actually being better than what we are. And they can't see that the disconnect between fans, our own fan base, you look on kickback, they're thread after thread after thread after thread of Hearts fans slagging other Hearts fans because they didn't act the way they didn't have the same political views as what they do. There was threads about Copenhagen. You would have thought that hordes of crazy, coked up, boozed up Stone Island hooligans were on their way to Copenhagen by people that were posting saying, "Oh, I've seen the Stone Island Neds walking about outside." But they're our fans. They're our fans. You got people posting for Arizona, sitting in their pants, moaning about people at games that they're not at. Slaughtering Hearts fans that have paid thousands to travel all over the place. The disconnect between the fans and the players. Tell me a player there that was out the other night that cared. Let James Wilson and Macaulay Tate get a bye because they're young, right? They're coming through. James Penrice is probably the best player that we have right now. Who else? Who else cares? Who else cares? The full-time whistle they went down the tunnel. They went down the tunnel. I think Ogie Devlin, James Wilson were about the only folk that walked round and clapped. Everybody just beelined down the tunnel. The disconnect between fan and club. I've said before, no one cares about the Foundation of Hearts anymore. No one does. The Foundation of Hearts, they don't speak to us. They don't let us know how they're feeling. Like tonight, they're not going to post to say that that's unacceptable, that money has now been lost by the club, by the direct performance of the players, that that's cost us money, a football club that needs money, that isn't funded by billionaires. We need money. Money matters to us. There will be nothing to say that that's cost us money and what's unacceptable and that we're bottom of the league and that if we drop into the championship, it's catastrophic. There'll be nothing. We'll get radio silence. The disconnect between us and the board. Tonight, the board sat in the director's box, and in the director's box, in the home end, they had the Petrol Club flag and the Moldovan flag hanging over the barriers of the director's box. What world do we live in where that's acceptable? What world? It's soft as shit bowling club mentality. That's all it is. If we could do fucking tombola at half time, we would. We'd get a whip round for Audrey because she'd made some millionaire fucking shortbread. It's pathetic. The mindset of our football club. They talk to us about winning trophies, challenging the old firm, blah, 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 blah. They couldn't care less. They care about hospitality, sticky toffee pudding reviews for the Sky Lounge, hotel bookings. That's what they care about. The product on the park, they couldn't care less. They don't care because they know we'll show up. They'll know that next week or on Sunday, 16,000 Hearts fans will show up again. They'll know that. They'll know they'll get a sellout versus Hibs. They'll know when we go to Ross County, even though it's the 29th of December, even though it's Christmas, even though it's in the arse end of nowhere, Those players will walk out to 1,000 to 2,000 Hearts fans. They don't care. They don't care. And what happens is we get angry with what's on the park and we turn on each other. That's what happens. The fans argue with each other. Fine. If you don't agree that Budge should go, I get it. I can understand your point of view. I get it. And I don't downplay the good that she's done for the football club. But my point is that when they we question it, again, there's one common denominator with all of this. There is one common denominator that has been here through all of the omni shambles that has been us in the last 10 years, the Yo-Yo Football Club. There has been one omnipresent who's been there, who's overseen serial loser mentality at the club. You're allowed to question that. You're allowed to say that we deserve better than that. All right? We cannot keep living with the mentality that 10 years ago we were in administration. We can't be scared of that. What fold? Just fold if that's what it is. If now is we'll measure success based on that we might never, as long as we never go into administration or we never go bust, success. Just fold us. What's the point? What's the point? We've got to turn into Levy. Folk will say, oh, you're just being dramatic, you're being it. This happens all the time. This happens constant. We are bottom of the league. We said that it was time for Craig Levein to go. And the club hung on and hung on and hung on and hung on to the point that we had to have protests outside the stadium for the club to finally react. He'd still be here. He'd still be here if we hadn't done that. We'd still be at the football club, still be the same shape that it was in then if we hadn't had the protest and made the club do something about it. We then sack Daniel Stendhal via Sky Sports News. He doesn't even know that he lost his job, and we reverted back to type. We brought back a familiar face. We brought back somebody from down the corridor, somebody that knows when you go into a board meeting and Anne Budge is there, you're not allowed to swear. That's true, by the way. You're not allowed to swear at board meetings. Every time I've met Anne Budge, I've been reminded loads and loads and loads. You don't swear in front of Dr. Budge or whatever she doesn't like it in a boardroom. As a Hearts fan right now, tonight I expected that boardroom to look like a scene for the Wild Wild West. I want people screaming, shouting. I want prawn sandwiches rattled off the wall. I want Werther's Originals being fired about like bullets. That's what I want. I want the swear jar overflowing with money as people lose their mind. That's what I want. That's a football club. That's how you get to the top. We brought Robbie back, and again, we lost 2 games in the bounce, 3 games in the bounce, 4 games in the bounce, 5 games in the bounce, 6 games in the bounce, 7 games in the bounce. Right. How far do we have? We had a 10 point, at one point, I think we were, 10 points in front of Aberdeen, 17 points in front of St Mirren. There was a point when it came to the second last game of the season, we genuinely could have finished 6th. We could have finished below St Mirren. We had to get a draw with Hibs on the last game of the season to ensure that we finished 4th because we kept losing games. And everybody was like, what are we doing? What are we doing? Like, how low is low before we actually react? He needs to go. And we hung on for too long, and it cost us the season, and it cost us European football, and it cost us group stage European football because we hung on too much, because the people in the board are too soft. They're sentimental. They want familiar faces. They want people that they're friendly with. We then had the opportunity to bring in Cifuentes. The guys on scarves around the funnel have explained what everybody already knew, and it shocked me that I looked at the thread on Kickback and people acting like they didn't know that Anne Budge will supersede what needs to happen and overrule board rules and all that stuff. I don't know where you get this thing where you pretend that she doesn't have anything to do with the football decisions at the football club. Of course she does. Of course she does. The amount that we argue amongst ourselves, fight amongst ourselves, and the club, the board, they get off scot-free. Anyone says anything, and the night, emotions are high, people react, sack the board or Anne Budge get to fuck. Emotions are running high. I get it. It's not going to be to everybody's taste, but it's that thing where you're not allowed to question what goes on, as if everything's rosy in the garden and everything's completely and utterly fine and acceptable. The apathy that has creeped into our club is crazy. Like I said, walking to the ground, no atmosphere. The Tynecastle's dead, right? I've said it for 3 years. I'm sorry if you're bored of listening to me say it. I tried to start the ultras for fixing away day atmospheres and trying to get the home atmosphere better, and it's pointless. It's pointless. There's 175 in that section behind the goal in a stadium of 19,000. There's 300 at the back of G. There's 300 at the back of N. There's less than 1,000 people that are willing to stand and sing. Everybody else sits in radio silence. Go to a Hearts game now, it's a chore. You can tell. You can tell. It's why the away days are better. It's because the core group of fans that want to stand and sing and they're the ones that go to the away games. It's why there's an atmosphere when you go to away games. At home games, it's a chore. People are doing it because they've done it for years. It's tradition, something that they do with their dads, their families, their brothers, their cousins, whatever it may be. So they do it because it's something to do. And they get in, sit down, have a twirly, sing the Hearts song, sing the European song, and then sit down and say, right, entertain me. And that's it. That's their engagement with backing the club. That's it. They think that they back the club because they donate. They think they back the club because they've bought the tickets, and they think they back the club because they've bought the kit or whatever it is. And that's right. That does support the club. On a match day, though, the players need vocal support. They need it to be intimidating for away fans. They need it to be intimidating for the away team. Our club today decided that the 9 petrol club fans or whatever it is that bought tickets, I think they sat them in the director's box. There will be people that aren't offended by that and think, Corbett, so what? Like, that is a nice thing for the club today. But that sums it up, innit? It's just a nice thing. It's what the club do. We do nice things. What can we do that will be a tick box that someone will say, oh, that was quite nice. Hearts did something nice. We've lost everything about us that was Hearts. We used to be horrible. We used to be nasty. I've got pals that are Celtic, Rangers fans that talk about, I hate you got to Tynecastle. It was horrible. You're the worst fans in Scotland. You treat us like shit. I hate going there. It was dangerous. It was this, that, and the other. And I'm not saying that that's the be all and end all. And I don't want people to feel in danger anywhere in society. Doesn't matter where you got a football or no, you shouldn't feel intimidated to go these places. But football, that stuff matters. That stuff matters. But again, we've lost the edge. You think it is gone. It's a total and utter myth. Standing in absolute silence. I could hear the Petrol Club goalkeeper speaking all game because sitting in absolute silence. No one cares. No one cares. The apathy that we have is that we bought our tickets, we showed up. That's us. That's us done our bit. And the players give us nothing. 100%. I'm not getting rid. The players don't get a free pass for what happens tonight. But when you look and think, what did we do as a fan base? It was pathetic. It was pathetic. We'd either argue amongst ourselves than hold the club to account for nights like tonight. Because this is the byproduct of the fact that there is no repercussions for performance dropping. How far do we slip? How far do we let things go before we say, wait a minute, enough is enough? That's all I want. That's all I want is someone to say, what are we doing? What are we doing? Every 18 months, go back 18 months and you'll find a podcast of me saying the same stuff. We have a bowling club mentality. That's what it is. Everybody knows each other. They're all pally with each other. They all worked with each other in previous jobs, or they're married to somebody that's in a role now, or their cousin's part of it. It's a complete and utter bowling club. I've said it before. And I didn't, the club get offended by that. They tell me that when I meet the board and talk to them. It's a bowling club. Prove me wrong. Prove me wrong. Do you know what I mean? Everything about it is just soft. We're soft as shit. Everything about the club is soft as shit. Even the night. No, like, fair enough, Petrol Club didn't have many fans, so the away section just sat empty. Those images are beamed around Europe tonight in a European Cup competition where the stands are empty, but there's a big, huge empty stand thing. We haven't even invested in like seat covers that could fill that corner or something when we know that the fans are there. If you're not allowed to advertise your domestic sponsors on there, put the Foundation of Hearts up. Or put something for about the Foundation of Hearts, a big QR code. Let the world know we're in Europe. These are beamed all over the place. Put something up there saying, largest UK or largest fan based club, whatever it is, or a QR code, sign up, donate to the Foundation of Arts. Nothing. Nothing. The club are just happy that we've got the tickets, they don't care. Where was the tifos? Where was the displays? Costs, I think I said it on Kickback, and I posted it. For the Foundation of Hearts Day, I priced it up. Boy in East Calder can do tifos, cards, bits of paper for that you could do as 19,000 bits of paper for under £3,000, because it's not about the more volume you have, the cheaper it becomes. £3,000 the club tonight could have spent on money and had a tifo for the team coming in. Nothing. I'm in the ultras. We've got 6 or 7 10 foot by 10 foot flags. They cost £200 each to get a flag. The club can invest in some flags to have at the side of the park when the team come out? Can have anything like that? How much does it cost for Aberdeen to have the pyrotechnics before the game? Safe pyro, all that stuff. It's not expensive, but they're not interested. What they'll do is they'll turn the green light on in the Euro lounges, because that's where they make the money. Because people are spending 70, 80 quid for a ticket to sit in there. People, and I'm sorry if you're furious with me, I get it, but I'm angry. I'm angry. I'm angry and disappointed that we're back here again. And I will never accept that we shouldn't hold people at the club to task. We are fan owned. We are fan owned. The Foundation of Hearts could call an EGM. They could do a vote of no confidence in the board. They could say we've had enough of this. Because internally, privately, speak to them, they'll tell you that they've got absolutely no say in how the club's run. They'll tell you that. I've spoke to loads of them. They tell you that. I told you last week on the podcast about the tribute kit and all that stuff. So either they're lying and they're just happy with the status quo, or there's some serious problems in the background. But again, we're fan owned. Fan owned. Tell me, where does our money go? Get in contact with the podcast. Tell me. Tell me one thing, the money of the club that we've put in, where did it go? Where did it go? Because it's chucked into the void. That's what it is right now. I couldn't tell you what's differentiated between the money that the fans give versus the money that's made by the club, the money that's made to pay the wages, all that sort of stuff. Where does our money go? We're allowed to ask those questions. We're entitled to ask those questions. We're also well within our rights to say, what are the Foundation of Hearts doing? What's Jerry Mallon doing? Because if he's unhappy, then why is he not speaking to us? Why is he trying to keep the relationship between him and the board rosy, rather than keep the relationship between him and the fans, the people that put him in that position, happy? Why are we not hearing about what's wrong? Why are we not hearing that? Why are we not coming out to say, we voted for, as the foundation, we voted on the round of should Naismith be sacked before the Motherwell game last year, where we headed into the international break. Why should they not publish to say there was a board meeting, an emergency board meeting, because performance on the park wasn't good enough, so the board voted on whether we should have a vote of no confidence in Stephen Naismith. Foundation member Andrew Brown, Jerry Mallon voted in favour of removing Stephen Naismith from his position because we deemed the results unacceptable, but we were outvoted by the board because Anne Budge, whoever else, decided that actually no, we want to stick it out. Why can we not know that? Why can we not know that? We own the club. It's our club. We're the owners. That happened. We handed over the ownership from Anne Budge to us. We own it. They represent us. Will we get a statement tomorrow to say the results in the league have been catastrophic and unacceptable, and us as an organisation, as the owners of this football club, demand that performances and results get better. We as an organisation are disgusted that the performances in Europe have cost us an extra £1.8 million in revenue. We want answers. We're unhappy with how the club is being run in the direction that it's going. We want answers. What's stopping them? What's stopping them doing that? We own the club. So why are we bothered about keeping the relationship between the board and the Foundation of Hearts rather than maintaining the relationship between the fans and the Foundation of Hearts? The Foundation of Hearts I go to their meetings sometimes and they'll say, membership's dwindling and they can't understand why. I can tell you, because it's pointless. It's pointless. People aren't connected to it. You don't speak to us. There's no communications. You don't talk. The only time we hear from you is when there's some happy clapping good news story to get beamed at. The only time we interviewed them was because they wanted us to talk about the Foundation of Hearts Day. It's not acceptable. And when emotions run high like tonight, I understand why there's chance. I understand why on Sunday, before the game, and probably after the game, if the results don't go our way, there will be protests. People have had enough. And it shouldn't get to this point where people have to kick up a fuss, have to wet the bed for the club to make it feel like the club are paying attention to us, that what we want. Because again, the biggest thing is the disconnect. The disconnect between fans and other fans, the disconnect between the fans and the players, the disconnect between the fans and the foundation, and the disconnect between the fans and the board. It's massive. It's absolutely massive. And it needs addressed. It needs fixed. We can't just keep going peaks and troughs, peaks and troughs. So, like I said, I'm sorry. This is not the podcast for you if you wanted level-headedness. And tomorrow I'll maybe, with the benefit of hindsight and calming down, probably howled at the moon for 45 minutes. But like I said, I'm angry. I'm angry. I'm disappointed. I want more for the fans. I want more. We deserve more. We deserve better. I've got people, and you'll know it. People listening to this will have done it. I read the threads on Kickback of people, the routes, the extraordinary lengths that people went to get to Copenhagen, the extraordinary lengths that people went to get to Bruges, to watch Hearts, all the different routes, all the different ways of going there, people flying, flights cancelled and having to fly all around Europe to go and watch Hearts. I know how much money it costs to do that. I know how much money it costs to go to Kilmarnock on a Sunday, having coming home on the Friday or the Saturday for Copenhagen. I know what it costs. Like I said at the start, my wife hates me when it comes to Hearts because I'll prioritise Hearts all the time. The costs isn't just financial, it's mental. There'll be people got to work tomorrow spewing. There'll be the brunt of the jokes because the club has let us down yet again. And I'll end it by saying that we always, always, always end up back here. Always. We were here with Levine. We were there with Cathro. We were there with Levine. We were there with Naismith. We've been there with Robbie. We're now going to be back there with Critchley because the club, they cannot get the football right. They keep telling us all these great things about we want to win trophies. We want to be the best of the rest. We want to close the gap on the Old Firm. But yet we always end up here. We lose or don't win on Sunday, we're cut adrift. All right? Because we're at a point now where even if Hibs win, we're still going to be behind them. With a team that we've laughed at relentlessly for the last 3 months because we've had the worst start to a season ever in our whole entire history, and yet somehow they managed to be worse than us for a bit. But now reality is here. We have to win on Sunday. We have to win the derby, and we have to beat Ross County because we're not going to pull away from the situation that we're in unless we win those games. Because I said on kickback that the whole mood music of the club can change tonight. We could have qualified for the knockout stages of European football tonight. People need to understand that, absorb that, let that sink in. That we have missed an unbelievable chance to qualify for Europe. We didn't go into the last game playing Tottenham or Liverpool or Sparta Prague or any those that we've played against a Moldovan petrol station and they've got a draw. It's cost us money. It's cost us our reputation. We've been embarrassed again. Like, honestly, I get that you might not be burn Budgie's legacy, and I get all that. I'll take that argument all day of the week. I understand that there are good and pros to things that she's done. You go back any of my podcasts in the past, I have said my biggest fear for Anne Budge, and it's turning into the same situation with Craig Gordon, is that they had a legacy that if they'd known when to walk away, then and maintain their legend of what they've done, hanging around and ruining it or burning it, she'll never not be the person that saved the club and will never, ever, ever not be thankful for what she's done. But how many mistakes is she allowed to oversee before somebody says, we have to change what we're doing? We have to change. So something at the club, mentality, whatever it is, something at the club that has made us unrecognisable as a football club. This isn't the club my dad made me grow up supporting. It's not the club of Robbo, John Colquhoun, Jim Jeffries, Gary Locke, all these guys. It's unrecognisable to those clubs because we're soft as shit. We're soft as shit. It needs to change. We're a team of nice guys. That's what we are. Team of nice guys that are stealing a wage, that aren't giving us everything they've got. And we had John Colquhoun on the podcast, and he said playing for Hearts was the easiest thing on planet Earth because all you had to do was try your best. And it's easy to try your best. They never demanded that you be better than what you are, never demanded that you be, you know, consistently amazing all the time. They understood that you're at Hearts because you're not consistently amazing all the time. But all they ask is that you tried your best every single time. You get the ball, take your man on and try to get to the byline. If he takes the ball off you, ball ricochets off you, goes out for a corner or a throw in, or it goes out for a by kick, you'll get around the applause. The fans will get in, the fans will back you. Okie can attest to that today because the one time that he actually took his man on and went on a bit of a maze, he got a big massive round the applause for winning the ball back, running 30 yards forward, and then playing a pass. We never scored for it, never created anything for it, but we appreciated his effort. Penrice gets the ball, takes his man on, runs into space, he tries to fire balls into the box, he tries to beat a man, he tries to do all that stuff. 9 times out of 10, it's not successful, but he tried his best. He gets around the applause. We appreciate his efforts. It's the easiest thing to do in football is to try our best. That's all we ask for. And we get sold short all the time. Sunday was unacceptable. Tonight is unacceptable. The players are to blame. I absolutely get that. The players are to blame. The manager's to blame as well. I don't understand this and this 100% record that we have of changing right backs. Why we're obsessed with swapping right backs. I don't know. I don't know. But the manager has to take responsibility as well. Danda has done nothing in a Hearts jersey. Alan Forrest does nothing in a Hearts jersey. Why are they playing? Why is Blair Spittle dropped out? Why? Why is Boateng dropped out? Blair Spittle, Boateng and Penrice have been the three best players that we've had this season. I don't understand why they drop out. Where is Benny? Where is Benny? Halkett limped off today again as well. Where's Neuenhoff? What is going on? Why do we just accept that these players are here? Why do we just accept that Benny never ever plays? He can't play 2 games in a week. If you can't play 2 games in a week, show him the door, get rid of him. What's the point? Doesn't matter if he's good. Doesn't matter. We don't need a player that's good once every 4 weeks because that's all he can manage to play. We need players that can play consistently. We deserve better than what we're getting. So there you go. Sorry, I'm angry. Hopefully you found it cathartic. Hopefully it wasn't too much howling at the moon. Like I said, I'm angry. I'm angry at how horrible we are to each other as a fan base. How we've got no tolerance for each other anymore. How tribal we've become, and factions have all started to open up between people, whether it be happy clappers, whether it be ultras, whether it be bigots or whatever you want to call them, like day tripper guys, scarfers, whatever it is. We get too many factions. We are so disconnected as a football club, as a whole. Everything, our culture at the football club, all of it is just completely and utterly disconnected, and we need something to change because again, we're staring down the barrel. Anybody that hasn't realised that or opened up to it, we are staring down the barrel. This is a relegation battle. This is what's happening. I thought Bruges would kill us. Tonight kills us. Sunday is going to be horrible. Hearts won't win on Sunday. I'm telling you now. Hearts will not win on Sunday. The mood music of the football club is rotten. And I don't trust these players. And I'm starting to not trust the manager either. We have appointed a man whose background and success has been at being able to coach players, spend time with players, develop players. We've brought him into a club that's playing, not now, so he does almost have a bit of a line in the sand now as we head into these games because he will have time on the training park now, something that he's not had from the time being. But we have to address the fact that we can't keep clean sheets. We are soft at the back. It's a joke how easy we are to play through, how to create chances, how to score goals. And we can't score goals. We can't score goals. Tonight's different. We didn't create any chances, so it's not like we were missing chance after chance, but we can't score goals. You can't keep a clean sheet. You can't win football matches. If you can't score goals, you absolutely can't win football matches. A shambles. I hope I'm wrong. Prove me wrong. I'd love that, Hearts. I would love that if you prove me wrong and go on a run right now. But we're staring down the barrel. There we go. Think I managed to say tombola, which I never thought I would. Millionaire shortbread as well. That's a new one for the podcast. There's a new one for where my mind goes when I'm angry. Uh, okay, cool. Thanks, troops. I will hopefully have something more positive to talk about on Sunday on my podcast, but I thought I'd give you my live reactions to a very, very, very disappointing night. Gorga rules, troops.